that's part of the volleyball team here tonight?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, she is.
Molly, would it be okay to ask her to sing for us? Let her call the meeting and then you can start us off, okay?
I'm calling for a motion to move out of executive session.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're moving on to the Pledge of Allegiance, so you got the stand.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Good job.
Thank you, Sue. That was awesome. We have her name, so we can say thank you. What's your name, honey?
Oh, Danny.
Daniela Balsano.
Thank you. Thank you. That was beautiful. Thank you. Roll call. Mrs. August. Present. Mr. Amaranda.
Present.
Mr. Ferrioli.
Present.
Mr. Imbasciani.
Present.
Mrs. Kennedy. Present. Mrs. Adams. Present. Mr. Nucci.
Present.
Mrs. Donnelly. She's walking in right now. Oh, there she is. Mrs. Donnelly's here. Present. Mrs. Manzi. Present. Mr. Middleman.
Present.
Mrs. Hutchinson. Present. Mr. Budnick.
Present.
Ms. Hughes. She'll be later. And Ms. McGinnis. Thank you.
Hi.
All right, I need a motion for the approval of the minutes for November 10th, audit committee/business meeting.
Motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye. Abstain.
All right, we're moving over to commendations and education spotlight. Ms. Adams, would you take over? Sure.
It's really not often that you get, as a superintendent, in your first 2 years, 2 chances to go to the States. Last year, our boys baseball was our LIC Long Island champs. They got to go up to the States, and unfortunately I had class that day because I'm in a doctoral program and I couldn't go up. But I was blessed to be able to go up and watch our girls play volleyball up in Glens Falls, New York with my husband. It was a great weekend. And it is just one of those things that, as a community, we are so, so proud of the hard work and the dedication that goes into making champions. And we have 2 championship teams here tonight. We have our girls swimmers, who are champions, and we have our girls volleyball team, who are our state champions. They make us proud every day. I know parents, they make you proud every day. To stand in front of you right now and say, not only do you make us proud in the pool, on the courts, you make us proud in the classroom, you make us proud in everything you do, because you are hard workers, you're dedicated, you're in it for the long haul. You know that you have the grit to make it happen, because you know in order to prepare, you work hard all the time. And I know you have to get out of here and go to practice, because even though our season's over, your seasons never end. So I'm going to ask that the coaches come up and Mr. Delicate come up. So I'm going to ask, oh, there's even more to this, because our girls volleyball team also, they won the Long Island Championship, which got them to the States. But they also raised over $3,400 for breast cancer research for the Side Out Foundation with their annual And now I get to call up Newsday's Long Island Coach of the Year, Mr. Justin Hertz. Come on.
I do. I'd like to actually call up the whole team if I could.
Okay, you don't want to call them up with their names
Sure.
and their certificates. Okay, so this is you. All right, assistant coach, Karen Edwards, come on up. Assistant coach, Ashley Marchese, come on up. Lauren Ballinger. Danny Balsano. Corey Carrara. Mackenzie Cole. Taylor Cole. Gianna DeRusso. Taylor Conzen. Sophia Martin. Sarah McKenby. Nicole Migliozzi. I don't recognize them because their hair's always up. Every time I see them with their hair down, they look totally different. Cassandra Patsos. Skyla Schottmeyer. Ashley Spencer. Mackenzie Taylor. Katie Von Kampen. Ladies and gentlemen, these are your state champions.
To start off, just a couple things I wanted to add on to what Ms. Adams had said. For Dig Pig, we've now been doing it for 6 years, and our total that we've raised just to Connetquot volleyball has raised $19,139.41. Many of these girls have been a part of that for 5 or more years, so they're definitely a part of that humongous number, so thank you to them. I'd like to thank Ms. Adams and members of the board. I saw a lot of you at our playoff game, so thank you for that. Thank you for coming all the way upstate to Glens Falls. Thank you, Mr. Delicate, for coming up to Glens Falls to support us. Thank you, Mr. Croce, for meeting us off the bus. That was quite a surprise as well. Appreciate that. And just a few things about our season. If individual awards are something that are important to you as a kid, volleyball tends to not be the sport that you gravitate towards, because I don't know of another sport where it is more important to function as a team together than in this game. And I believe what makes this team special is that they are able to grasp a concept to many kids, which is difficult, that you're going to have to sacrifice in order to accomplish what these ladies just accomplished. Last night, we attended the Suffolk County Volleyball Awards dinner, and many of our players won some very prestigious awards. And many other players should have received many more. But what was most important to us last night was unfortunately not acknowledged at this dinner. These ladies, as a team, won Connetquot's first ever girls volleyball Long Island title, and followed that up by winning the first ever New York State championship. It was the first championship in 31 years, and to put a little perspective on that, I was 5 years old the last time that happened. There's no individual award that is more important than what they had achieved, and no individual award occurs without each and every piece of our amazing puzzle. Awards have always bothered me personally, but never more so than last night, and I want to thank the parents and the players for their unwavering support for our entire season and for our program, and for attending last night's dinner. Your daughters make up the best volleyball team in Suffolk County, in Long Island, and even in New York State. And that is such a tremendous accomplishment, and I could not be more proud. It would mean a lot to me and to them if we could give these ladies a standing ovation for the greatness that they have achieved, and acknowledge how proud they have made this district and community. And then if Danny could just sing a couple more favorites. All right, guys, we are going to try to set up a picture. Yeah, let's see.
We actually have a few more accolades before we start to take all these pictures. Representing Senator Boyle's office.
My name is Dennis Bennett. I'm here on behalf of State Senator Phil Boyle. Fortunately, couldn't make it this evening, but I just want to come down and say congratulations to the girls for their hard work, sacrifice, the dedication, to the coaches for their sacrifice, for the time that they dedicate to coaching the children, and also to the parents for their support of their children, not only as athletes, but in academics as well. Congratulations, ladies. Proclamation and certificates for the girls, but I'll wait till Senator Croce comes up. Hand them out together. Come on up, Senator.
It's good to be home. Thank you all, and to the athletic director, Mr. Delicate, for your outstanding leadership of the program. To the superintendent and board of education, thank you very much for having me here this evening. Girls, coaches, we're extremely proud of you. You have a state of about 20 million people, and there are hundreds of programs in the state. But little old Connetquot from the South Shore of Long Island is able to win it. The one thing I'll say to you is I think what your coaches have taught you, it goes beyond just the sport. You're going to learn that what you've learned as you get older in life about teamwork, about putting your team above yourself, the skills that you learned in anticipating each other, which is truly, in your sport, the key to success. That's going to serve you well in life. We see a lot of stories in the news about kids who are in trouble. But in this community, we can be very proud that we have a group of individuals who worked hard, who dedicated, and to the parents who supported this team, thank you. I know all the trips back and forth, all the trips to travel to watch them play. I know it takes its toll, but you did good and you should be really proud. Girls, we're very proud of you. And on behalf of the Senate Majority Leader, I would like to invite you to Albany to be recognized in front of the full Senate while it's in session. So come on up.
I really do care about these girls, but I've been on a bus for many hours with them. We're going to have to arrange a flight to Albany.
They should fly the plane.
Get closer together. Can we get you, Rome?
Or Mr. Flower, that's fine. 25.
Only if you move down the horn, the whole entire
Do we need to squeeze in more?
We're going to stitch this. You remember what that means, right? No?
You do.
Take the couple and put them together.
Oh,
No, you've seen enough of these, right?
That's for sure. I don't need to.
You weren't invited.
Congratulations.
Guys, let's just be home as I get this out, okay?
I know that they have to go to practice, so I'm going to let them actually gracefully exit right now. If that's okay with all the parents.
Good job, keep it up, girls.
is that Ashley's coat?
Oh, they're all going. What I do?
Okay. We had another team up at the States also. They were our unsung heroes. We had an amazing year again, because we had an amazing year last year as well with our girls' varsity swim team. They actually placed first place in the 200 and 400 yard freestyle relay at the Suffolk County Championships, which means they're #1 in the Long Island Championships. They're in 3rd in Suffolk County after 12 events in the county championships. And Coach Alex, would you come on up and help me talk about the girls? I'm just never going to say it. Okay, once again, it's all about teammates. Because no matter who you are in the pool, and I know you're against the clock, and I know you're against other teams, but it's you guys pushing each other every day to do your best. And that team, that grit, and I know you practice year-round as well, you have devoted yourself to that marathon of being the best that you can be. And that's really impressive. And so every year I get to thank you girls for making us proud. And once again, you made us proud. So thank you so much. Okay, Emma Briner. Kelsey Bouchard. Victoria Catazon. Sarah Coldfield. All right, Brittany Doretis. Alexandria Kalish. Just spell your first names, it's easier. Okay. Emma Kopp. Cameron Kusher. Padre. Emily Orski. Alicia Pizzo. Sarah, not here, okay. Natasha Rice. Selena Rodriguez. Emily Rogel. Leah Russell. Isabel, not here. Okay, Isabel Santilla, not here. Christina Schubert. Courtney Smith. Emily Thornton. Okay, I'm going to let the coach speak about the team a little bit. A little bit about the team.
So I'd like to thank Mr. Delacave, the Board of Education, Superintendent Adams, for all your support throughout the year. It's also someone special I have to thank. Probably about mid-August, we were in dire needs of a diving coach, and called up my old friend, Mr. Schiebler, Coach Schiebler, and asked him if he would come out and help us again, come out of retirement. And without a doubt, he came out and helped the varsity team out. So I'd like to call Mr. Schiebler up here. Now, so you don't know, Mr. Schiebler is retired from the phys ed department here at Connetquot. And he's probably going to kill me for saying this, but you have two generations of coaches. Mr. Schiebler was my coach in high school. So it is quite an honor to be on deck with Coach Schiebler, coaching together again, being together. He's a tremendous asset to our program. So thank you. This year we finished 5-1 for our season. We finished second in our league, just missing first place by about 10 points. Then came the county championship, and it was a battle there. That's why I lost all my hair at the county championship. But again, back and forth battle. We ended up taking third in the county, but lost by 10 points in first place. So I could not be more proud of these young ladies that received the trophy. We had 6 all-league qualifiers. Just wave your hands. Emma Briner, Tara McCoy, Emily Rogel, Sarah Cofield, Sam Lettieri, Christine Llewellyn, and Emily Orski. Top 4 within our league meet. We also had some all-county qualifiers. Michelle Wooten, who's not here, Leah Russell, Natasha Rice, Victoria Carzone, and freshman Cameron Krusher. We were a combined team with East Islip this year, and Cameron, I think, is only represented from here, from East Islip, and what a great asset she was to us. In addition, we also had 6 county champions as well. Michelle Wooten, Leah Russell, Emma Kopp, Natasha Rice, Victoria Carzone, and Cameron Krusher, both in the 200 relay. We are 4-time champions in the county for both those relays. We currently hold the county record in the 200 freestyle relay. So, congratulations, ladies. Michelle Wood is not here, but she was county champion 50-300 free, qualified for junior nationals, which will take place in March down in Orlando, Florida. So, again, as you know, swimming is one of those sports, hard work, dedication, and these young ladies here are the true definition of an athlete, showing dedication, hard work. So Coach Schiebler and I couldn't be more proud. So thank you, ladies, for a tremendous season. The best part is we are a very young team, and we definitely look forward to the next few years to come as having 9th and 10th graders as our higher end. So, very proud of these ladies. Congratulations.
the smaller ones up? Burgundy challenge? That's most of it.
I can't swim, so I
Yeah, you know where you belong, right?
Don't worry, Sophie, are you kidding me? Sophie, you're like 5'7".
Those of you in the back now. There you go, you did this before.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna stitch, right? 1, 2. Ready? All right, hold the stitch. Yours is upside down. No, it's not. There you go. Ready? Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Good job, girl. Good job.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you. Good night. I won't say anything. Thank you.
Hello, Miss McGinnis. How are you? Long time no see. How are you?
Good.
Okay, what do you have to report?
We recently had a junior ring dance. It was called Black Light Night. That was very successful, along with freshman awareness, which we had over 520 kids come and participate to either help or to be a freshman involved in it. We have a Santa run that's being run through Habitat for Humanity that's coming up. Next week at the high school, we're having Holiday Spirit Week, which each day is a different theme, and the kids participate and shows their spirit for the holidays. We're also having a holiday door decorating contest, and it's going to start next Wednesday, and it's an initiative to start a new tradition. The teachers are the ones involved, and they're encouraged to get their students involved with it, but it's more like starting a tradition for the teachers and, you know, bragging rights and stuff like that. Hopefully we can further this throughout the years. And then we're having a character breakfast on the 19th. It's supposed to be as successful as St. Halloween was. We're starting that again this year. This is a new tradition, hopefully, for us. Young kids will come, $5 at the door, and they'll see their favorite princesses or Buzz Lightyear or whoever, and they get to have breakfast with their favorite characters.
Thank you. Thank you, Grace. Okay, we're moving on to 2015 Annual School Law Conference.
The school law conference takes place actually on Monday. There's a lot of presentations by many attorneys, not just our law firm. I don't know if any of the board members are interested in doing it, but it is during the day. It's in the morning.
And where is this in Mineola?
It's at the Nassau County Bar Association in Mineola.
I can't make it either. Lee?
I've been to them, but I haven't done that. You guys have made it. And you
So the annual Longwood Regional Legislative Breakfast takes place in February.
Wait, hold on. February 6th. February 6th.
It's a Saturday morning, February 6th, 2016, at Longwood Middle School.
Yeah, I'll go.
Craig wants to-
That's my birthday, so I expect a cake that day. Just saying. Is it?
Nick, are you going too? Ted?
No.
No? Lee said no already.
Can I hold up, because I'm not sure.
Yes.
Okay.
It's already a budgeted amount. It's already in
Tell the lady,
You know, when it's hard,
Because
because my
reading
son
each other
does
legislators.
competes, so I can't even make a
It's a
commitment.
table.
They have to go the other way anyway.
Okay, I'm going to climb this way, I can't guarantee that.
No, the total table is 150 or 10 people.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it's like.
Sharon and I will represent
Sharon.
district office.
And sometimes Helen Maloney goes too.
She does, yeah. She usually goes as a member of the evening.
You get breakfast?
We can bring people if you want. It's a free breakfast. It's not a really good breakfast though.
What were you saying, Greg?
Yeah, it's really good. You know what? I will ask council PTA if they want to send some reps to me.
Yeah, exactly, so I
You
can't.
have up to 10 people at a table.
Yeah, so, Frank said,
Yes. So Linda said she'd reach out to
Do you want to, go through town council PTA?
yeah, I won't be able to attend, they have the rest of the.
They should do a full table.
Okay.
Community members should be involved as well in the process.
I thought I saw Matt Ladd right here.
This way we're not the only ones who are on the legislators.
Gotcha. Doesn't matter. They went the other way
Ms.
anyway.
Kennedy?
What? I'm good at
The other
yelling.
Ms.
I'm
the
not
other Ms.
Lisa.
Kennedy.
I'm not Lisa.
Oh, sorry.
It's Maria.
It's the twin sister, Nick, don't worry, it's the twin sister.
Yeah, she told me.
She got you.
Okay, we're moving on to the steering graduate profile. Are you taking that one, Linda?
I'm sorry. What am I doing?
Moving
Oh,
on to the steering graduate profile.
okay. In front of you right now is the Connetquot High School Graduate Survey. This is a product that was produced by a joint effort of both the steering committee and the graduate profile committee. The graduate profile committee last year worked on the 5 literacies that they would like to see all Connetquot High School graduates graduate with. Obviously the major literacy are in our Part 200 regs, the reading, writing, arithmetic, and social studies, and all those kind of regulations that we are mandated for our kids to have. But the committee did look at 4 others that they felt might be things that would help kids become more successful in college and career. So what we wanted to do, we pulled the 2 committees together, was to create a graduate profile to see how our graduates were progressing through college. So in front of you right now is the final copy that was produced last night by the 2 committees together. It was something that we worked on for the entire fall. And we would like to email it to all of the e-school addresses that we have for parents going back the 6 years that we have e-school email addresses. So we thought that that would at least, kids are coming home from college soon. I know my son is coming home on Thursday, so they'll be home within the next week or so. We thought we would email it a couple times over the course of the end of December and into January so that we could get some information from our graduates. So some of the things that we're asking, beyond kind of demographic information, we were asking about what kind of student life that they had, if they were involved in clubs, sports, activities, drama, what type of classes did they take, AP, Regents level, classes necessary for graduation, if they were in a BOCES program, what kind of BOCES program they enrolled in, what kind of AP classes if they took them, the kind of college classes that we have, the dual enrollment program that we have at the high school where you can receive credit from Syracuse University or St. John's, Farmingdale, LIU, to see if they took advantage of that. And then we started to dig into their post-Connetquot high school plans. So we asked whether they had enlisted in the military, attended a community college, attended a 4-year institution, entered the workforce, entered a trade school, took some time off, traveled, that kind of thing. And then we asked them more specific questions along the lines of what did they do? If they picked that they went to the military, what military force did they enter? What kind of community college did they go to? 4-year institution, public, private, did they live on campus? So we really are getting a big picture of where our kids are actually going. They talk about, we asked them if they stayed in their first college choice. And if they didn't, why did they leave their first college choice? Did they feel unprepared? Did they feel there was time management issues? Everything from financial issues to family issues. We wanted to know if they entered college knowing their major. Did they change their major? Were there classes they took in high school that helped them decide their major? Were there classes that they thought would be great in high school that would help them with their major? Because we wanted to see if we can help prepare kids better. We're asking about their college status, asking whether or not they're going to continue with their college, if they plan to continue it. And then we moved into a little bit of how Connetquot High School, how prepared they felt to go into the setting that they went into, in reading, speaking, writing, analyzing problems, using technology. And then we go into the more soft skills. Did Connetquot High School prepare you to learn effectively on your own, to understand and be reflective in your own strengths, to respect the opinions of people from different backgrounds, to think critically about ideas, to manage their time, and to work effectively collaboratively. After that, we figured that information would really help us look at what kind of courses we may need to build, or if we're doing a wonderful job, one or the other, where we would need to kind of beef up if there was a lot of kids who felt that something could have been a little bit better. We asked them about what was difficult about transitioning out of high school, because we know that's a big independent step. And then we really kind of gave them some open-ended questions. What are the things they missed most about Connetquot High School? What was something they definitely would not change ever about Connetquot High School? And then if they have any suggestions to help us improve the ongoing experience of the kids who are in Connetquot High School right now. So it was something that we pulled questions out of some surveys that we saw that were in Naviance, which is our guidance software that we use to help our kids choose their college and choose their potential career pathway. And so I think it's a good amalgamation of the two different committees, and I know that there's some committee members here tonight that may want to speak a little bit about the process. For upgrading the survey.
I'm on the steering committee, and Ms. Adams already said it, but the whole purpose behind it is just to reflect how can we better serve our students that attend Connetquot High School. So, like Ms. Adams said, to date back the last 6 years, anyone that graduated from here, hopefully we can get a lot of people to do the survey, and then we'll just be able to analyze it, evaluate it, and change any programs that we have now to better serve students, or what we have now that is doing very well, just keep that going. So we thought it was a great idea.
Dan, you have anything you want to add to that?
It was a process that came out of both the committees coming together, and we thought that we could not serve our graduates well, but we didn't know what they wanted, so it's really an effort to collect data and feedback from our graduates, because those are really our clients. That's who we put out into the community, and the reason that we really wanted this survey was to get that feedback and then be able to bring that back into the committees, digest it, and then go forward and try and reformulate how we're serving them. Are we serving them well now? What are we missing? What needs to be incorporated going further? And we couldn't do that without data. We all have our inclinations of what we think we should do, but really, we really need to get that data back from the students to tell us what we need to do. That's what we serve.
Thank you. So I'm really looking to make sure that you approve of us sending the survey out to our graduates, hopefully by middle to end of next week, and then maybe 2 or 3 more times over the course of when they're back for intercession. So just really give consensus.
So that's lots of time, so you're gonna start it a week or so from now, and then when's your end date, and then how long after that will you collect your data?
The data is, since it's an online, it's a Google Doc actually. It's online, so instantaneously, the minute that someone does the survey, the data begins to formulate. So it'll all come out in an Excel spreadsheet, which we can then analyze hopefully sometime in January, February, and then be able to bring back data to you folks so that you can see how the data analyzed and where we see great programs and what programs we may have a deficit in. So I'm hoping to be able to report back to you sometime in March how we've analyzed it and where we think we need to go. March or April, probably.
Lee, your thoughts?
I was on the committee from the beginning and listened to what Big said. Between the new information that we're going to get from Suffolk County Community College
the information we'll be getting from our students that graduated, I think we have something to look forward to help the kids that are coming up, because some of the things that we learned today that's happening here in Connetquot, not just this survey, but a committee that Mrs. Adams is on. I'd like you to explain it. I think between the two, we're going to have a better analysis of what's going on in Connetquot and how we can help tomorrow's children better.
Okay, so that sounds like a yes, Ted?
Yes, I just want to ask one question. Number 16, is this, done? Because you have some reserve guys that still go to college. Is there a way that maybe they can get some of that information back to us? You can turn reserves and then jump in and go to college. Oh, here you go reserves, you go back to 30, you kind of split the school part. A lot of guys do have reserves and go to school at the same time.
Okay.
Maybe tweak that question.
Tweak it and push it back to,
Just so you get, guys that do reserves at college information.
okay, so another question underneath that, what branch of the military did you enter, and then did you go to college?
Or workforce, and then that can skip to another, go back to workforce or just go back to college.
Great feedback, thank you.
Nick?
No, I'm fine, I'm just trying to analyze what Ted was saying, is do we have to go back to, 13, and does that have to be we have a mark over 1, and they can only choose listed in military or attended college. So you can't have mark over 1 there if they're doing both.
Exactly.
Okay, so
there needs to be a separate question about, reserves, or maybe another bullet added reserves, or, somewhere in here we need to, so it's not just the one, it's a couple of questions, so we're making sure we're directing them the right, so they can also fill out all the information regarding their school as well.
Okay. So when someone enters the reserves, would they naturally say I entered the military first, or would they say I entered college? That's interesting. How would we do that? Because when I have multiple answers that can be right, I can't actually move it to the next question.
Right, I know. So it should be, maybe a little further up, like Nick was saying, maybe up to 13. Was it have to be the military, or maybe like we get a 2-part, and this is military and school.
Okay.
You might need to actually add, a couple of things here, like just reserves, or reserves and school, or some other, maybe 2 more. I don't know if that's something somebody who really handles the military situation of reserves. I don't know about comment.
Okay.
I want to make sure we include everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and then that, whatever, depending which one they pick there, that would just direct them to the right location.
Okay.
So otherwise you think it's...
Yeah, as long as we correct that, and we make sure we get everybody out.
Okay.
Good.
You guys say actually, good recommendations, I agree with that. I agree with it too.
Perfect, thank you. I will fix that and send it to you in the FYI, just so that you can see how it moves around.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're moving on to the task force committee, climate survey.
Okay. Sean, I'm going to call on you and Maria to talk to us about why you want to do this, and then I'll go through my PowerPoint.
So, I'll talk, because I don't think you want to. When we look at positive mental health, and that's part of what we're looking at here when we're looking at what we're doing with this task force. It started out as this anti-bullying thing, but I think it's really much more of how do we create the most positive environment for our students to enable them to have positive mental health. And one of the 3 pillars of positive mental health is having a context that supports them. And looking at why we're leading to this survey is we don't really know if the context that we have, the climate of the school, supports what we want. And we really need to narrow down into what are the areas that we're doing very well in, and that our students are reporting are facilitating their growth and who they are, and what areas do we need to be more aware of that leads to things like bullying and other problems that we might have. So it naturally led us down a path where before we can say these are things that we want to do, either school-wide within whatever school or district-wide to promote a positive environment, first we need to know what do we need to work on.
So really, again, it's about gathering data. So when you look at the survey that we just created for the graduate profile, it's really about gathering data so that we know where we need to target intervention. And there may be no need to target intervention, but I think we're going to find that there are pockets of things that we need to bolster kids. We're getting into an environment where we have a lot of kids that have mental health needs, and that's just across the world right now. And we want to make sure that we can provide the most engaging and enriching environment for our kids to make sure that they're mentally healthy. And so we talked to the National School Climate Center, which is an organization, it's a not-for-profit organization, and they actually do climate surveys in school districts that's really their mission. So I am really not going to do this justice because it was actually created by Darlene Faster, and it was just so exciting to talk to her about this school climate survey that they've created. It's a research-based tool that has been vetted in multiple different studies. It was founded at Teachers College, Columbia University. It's now not-for-profit, and it is the nation's leading school climate reform organization. So they have experience with state departments of education that have actually done this statewide in Iowa, Ohio, Connecticut, New Jersey, and other states. And they work with thousands of districts, quite a few of them right here on Long Island, worldwide. They've also been in international countries. So this is something that they've done. They've perfected it. They've vetted things through research. So what you find is the whole point of this is to gather data. So we want to know about each child's individual experience. And to know how a child is experiencing the environment, you need to ask all of the stakeholders. So what's wonderful about this survey is the survey is created for all the adults that interact in that environment as well. That's the teachers, the teaching assistants, the aides, the psychologists, the social workers, the counselors. It's also the custodians, the food service workers, because they see kids on a daily basis as well. It can also be our bus drivers, our clericals. So every single person who's involved in working with our students has the ability to take this survey. There's a student survey, there's a faculty survey, and there's a parent survey. So we will get information from all those different lenses to see how the climate feels to every single group that works with our kids every day. That will then let us know, and we'll analyze that, and will let us know where there's areas where our kids don't feel as supported as they might. And that's what this survey will point out for us. It will actually look at when we bolster mental health for our kids, it increases their academic achievement. And we're very much committed to that. We have a very large staff of mental health professionals, our counselors, our psychologists, our social workers, work integrated with our teachers to make sure that our kids are going to be healthy. And this is just a way to really measure how well we're doing with that. So these are just some of the studies that show the way kids feel about a building actually helps to make sure that they're going to graduate on time. And the schools that have the highest climate, where the kids feel the most supported, actually have a significantly greater graduation rate than schools where they do not feel supported. This is a multi-stage process. So stage one would be to prepare for the survey. And that's one of the things that we're doing tonight, we've been doing with our committees, is looking at the survey, talking to the folks who prepared the survey, and letting us get ready to figure out how we're doing. The second stage is the evaluation stage. In that evaluation stage, every single child from grades 6 through 12 would take the survey. They also do surveys 3, 4, 5, a little bit differently at a different reading level, but they will actually help us figure out the schedule to make sure that every child has an opportunity to take it. It would be something that would be presented to our faculty, our staff, and our parents, and everybody will have the opportunity to take it. It's absolutely anonymous. The data does not come directly to us. The data goes to the National School Climate Association, and they actually crunch the numbers. So they do not disaggregate the numbers for us. If it's a group smaller than 10, because there's too many individual pieces for that, so you could actually identify. So there will be no, we will never see who put that information in, and there are no identifying criteria in there. So everything is absolutely anonymous so that we can really have people put in their real feelings. After that, you get your information back. It's actually analyzed. I'm going to show you a couple of the different ways that they analyze it for you, and then they help you plan what the next step should be. And they're not-for-profit organizations, so they actually say, if this is a criteria that your school is weak on, these are the different research-based programs and practices that you can put in place, so you have to purchase nothing from them after they've done their analysis. Excuse me. After that, the school district puts it into implementation, and then you want to reevaluate to make sure that the programs that you put in place actually are changing the criteria that you were measuring to begin with. So it goes right back into the cycle. Many school districts do this every year. Some school districts do it after rolling programs out and then really deeply internalizing them and applying them with fidelity, and they do it every other year or every third year, just to make sure that the programs that you put in place are actually working. So this is all about after you get, after you want to look at the measurement, that's their planning for change. You do the assessment, and then you move into action planning, really the things that we were just talking about a minute ago. What's wonderful about this tool is there's been multiple meta-analysis studies that were done, and there are 3 that are here. These 3, the only survey that was actually deemed reliable and valid in all 3 of the meta-analysis is this actual survey. So this is a tool that's research-based. Just giving a little more information about some of the schools that they work with. And I know this is kind of small, but these are the 13 indices that they're actually measuring in the school climate survey. So they're looking as to whether or not the rules and the norms are clearly communicated so that everybody knows what the expectation is. They're looking at a sense of physical security. Do students and faculty and staff feel secure in the building? A sense of social-emotional security. Do kids feel like they're in a place in a judgment-free zone, where they're free from teasing, where they can actually go about their day? Support for learning, that kids feel that their teachers care about them or using effective practices. Social and civic learning. This is one of our major pushes with our civic association that we just put together. Do kids actually feel part of the civic action that's going on in the district? And then you'll look down, respect for diversity, social support students, institutional environment. Do kids feel connected and engaged in their school? Do they feel that the physical surroundings are actually conducive to them doing well? And this was a new one that they just added a few years ago. How do kids feel about social media and how it's impacting them in their schools? For the staff only, they'll also look at leadership. Does the administration create and communicate a clear vision to move the district forward? And professional relationships, are there positive attitudes and relationships among the faculty and staff as they work together to make school a great place for kids? So these are the dimensions that are actually measured by the school climate survey. It's research-based, it's field-tested. They can do 3 through 12. Right now we have quotes for the 2 middle schools and the high school. It's something that I think we should probably think about, whether we want to do 3, 4, and 5. But I think that the changes that are made as a child moves into the independence of the middle school, and the fact that they're where they are in their social and emotional development, we might be able to focus on that and really make a difference there. It's very easy to administer. It's 15 to 20 minutes, and it's all online. We can purchase paper ones. They're $1.75 a piece for any parent who can't get online. They suggest that you actually have kind of an open school night or at the local library where you would invite people in who may not have computer access. It can be done on any platform, except they don't really think that the smartphones are actually will function well. They think any other platform is fine. They actually put the survey out in English and Spanish, which is wonderful. And then they have guidelines and tools that will support school leaders in looking at the survey. This is a school climate portal that you actually get access to when all of your data has been analyzed. So I'm going to just show you really quickly some of the things. It's a unique password, so not everybody can get in and look at it. And let me just show you the supports. So you get all kinds of reports. They're graphically represented, and it shows a very concrete way of looking at the data. So let me show you what that report looks like. So this is a sample report, and what you see on the top is the students, what you see in the middle is school personnel, and what you see on the bottom is the parents. And you'll see in this sample data that the third indice, which is what? Social, I can't read it. Sense of social and emotional security. That kids are 2.67 is actually low. So it's 0, it's 1 to 5, 5 being they feel very secure, and 0 being they don't feel secure at all. So that's something that we may want to look at. Now, this is not ours, obviously, but this is something we may want to look at. It looks like the school personnel actually kind of feels the same way. So when you start to look at indicators stacked like this, it's actually pretty clear what you want to focus in on. We probably don't need to look at anything that's 3.5 or better. That means we're doing a pretty good job at it. But when I look at a 2.25, and that's social media. So this school would probably want to put some classes together on social media, keeping yourself secure, making yourself feel comfortable and confident on social media. So these are the kind of graphics that you get. This shows you a range of the students and where they actually fell. So in the dark blue or purple it looks up there, it's ratings in the negative range, so lower than 2.5. So kids didn't feel really all that comfortable. The medium blue is in the neutral range between 2.5 and 3.5, so like an average, like I kind of feel that way, I'm not too strong about it in either way, negative or positive. And then the light blue is individuals that are in a positive scale. So you can see again, that social emotional security kind of jumps out at you. 37% of the kids felt that they did not feel socially and emotionally secure in the school. So this is the way the data comes out, so it's very easy to analyze. Same kind of thing, just a different way to look at it. And then they pulled subgroups, and as I said before, if there's 10 or less in a subgroup, they will not disaggregate because there's too many identifiers in that. But this is pulled by grade level, so it's interesting that you could see as the kids move through the school, does their sense of security change as they move through the school, and that would be able to target then programs, something like an awareness weekend. What do our 9th graders think about this? What are the things that we can actually do in 9th grade to help bolster and move them and make them more successful in 10th grade? So these are the kind of data that we can analyze in the subgroup reports. This is item by item response. So once you've taken the survey, we'll actually be able to see how individually they responded with strongly agree, disagree. So this is really all the analysis that you get with this information. And then this is an action chart. So if it was determined that that students, let's see, what's it, physical safety is perceived as a problem in your school, here are some of the steps you can take. This is given to you as soon as the survey is taken. So all of the actions and approaches on the right-hand side are research-based approaches that if this is one of the indicators that we thought we would need some more help with, they actually really spell out the things that a school could do right now to make that better for our kids. These are just ways that they help you to figure things out. These are resources that they give for free on their website, different things that you can use as research-based ways to help the school climate. And they gave us some homework to do. This is some of the research that it's based on.
Thank you.
Anything my committee wants to add?
When you look at the research, it really supports their support that positive school climate decreases bullying, increases academic performance. So for us as a committee, it was just a logical place to start. When you're looking at statistics, you know, different research shows, you know, up to 30% of children by the time they hit 20 experience at least one major depressive episode. That's 1 in 3 kids is having a major depressive episode. 9.1% of kids 12 to 18 in New York State report that heroin is readily available to them and they can get it if they want. That's 12 to 18. So we need to set these kids up with the positive support and make sure that we're addressing that. And to me, it just starts with the survey.
I guess what I'd be curious to know is after you've compiled the data, say for argument's sake, you find that mental health is on the rise, what would be our approach to that?
Well, what I think really needs to happen is we need to bring, once we have this information and this data, we would bring our mental health professionals around the table and really help dig into this data. So we bring our guidance counselors, our YFS workers, our psychologists around the table to look at the data and help us figure out which one of those action steps we're already doing, which things we could bolster. But this kind of information is essential for us to really begin to look district-wide at the services we're providing and making sure that we're carrying all the needs of the kids. But really, this information is really only good and useful in the hands of the experts who are going to do the work. So it would definitely be a team effort, spearheaded by Ms. Manzi and Ms. Santo with all of our YSF and our psychologists and guidance counselors.
Have other
And our nurses.
Have other districts used this survey, and were they successful?
Well, I'm actually going to call on Mr. Middleman then, because he was in a district that actually did a lot of work with this.
We had brought the National School Climate Center in after we had a situation with regards to bullying. The community was asking, we had programs in place, but we had no real hard data to say that what we were doing was effective or not. So they came in, we gave it to all of our staff. We did middle school for high school. The lowest percentage of people that participated in the survey were our parents. They anticipated that piece. We had all of our students participate and a majority of our staff participate. And it really highlighted areas that we were proud of and things that we knew we were doing well. But it also unearthed areas that we thought we were doing well where we weren't really servicing the kids as best possible. The other piece is it gives the staff an opportunity to provide feedback a little bit differently. And I think that's something, this is a really safe environment, that it's really personal, and it's not something that everybody will, you're not writing it down on a piece of paper and submitting it. So it's that safe environment that people can do it with. But as Sean said, the positive school climate and culture is probably one of the most important things for student success, not only academic, but emotional and behavioral.
Now, did your district wait a few years and then re-administer the survey?
We did it the first year, and then the second year
Because the only way that you can judge is if, say, you took it on a 3 and a 5 year to see if the impacts you made really were, the changes you made had an impact, I should say.
One of the things that we had to do was create smaller committees to work with the data. Here, we have our DASA teams in each of our buildings that it's a perfect fit for them to work with that data to kind of identify what are the programs and processes that we have in place that are working. So, I think we have a bunch of different structures here in place that we didn't have in my previous experience. So, I think we'll move a lot quicker, and there's a lot more support staff here than I had in the previous district.
So then what would be your timeline? So you administer year 1, and then where would you go forward?
I think we would administer year 1, we would analyze, we would hope to administer sometime toward the end of January, beginning of February. There's a 2 to 3 week turnabout for them to analyze the data. So I think what we really would do is the spring we would take to analyze the data and decide what programs we want to work with and work on. Might do some projects this summer with some folks writing curriculum, pulling the experts in, and start really working on those programs in September. And then I think we would probably want to do it again in January 2018.
That would make sense, yeah.
To give it a year and a half to put in. It takes time to put these programs in place with validity, and I think that would probably give us a good timeline.
Yeah.
Question, Dean. Will it be by building? Say if you're doing the building piece, will it be by which buildings are?
Yeah, so the data is disaggregated by building. So each building will get their own data so that their own teams can look at it. But we would also get middle school data, so we can look at globally how the students are doing, and then we would get high school data as well. So it goes from a large scale down, and it goes down to the bottom, so that each individual building will have its own lab of data that they can provide actually.
And And what about the layman sitting here on the board? How are we gonna decipher? what's
You're
going
part of
on?
the process, so they come in and actually work with you to understand what the data means. And that's one of the biggest pieces, that they don't just hand it over to you, they're part of the process. One of the things that I like about them is they're not about programs, so they don't suggest programs, you don't have to buy there, they don't have programs that they sell. What they focus on is hands-on ways that you can improve school culture that is meaningful for kids and adults.
So they have to meet with us?
They'll meet with the board, they'll meet with anybody who will listen to them. So we had larger committees, we had the Board of Education met with them, with all the administrators, and then they met with smaller. You're assigned a point person that'll work with you to help you understand it, so they will do conference calls, they'll Skype, they'll even come out and visit if your team is meeting to go through the data and help you kind of analyze what it actually means.
Some of that does have additional cost. Having folks on site does have additional cost. The original proposal is for the survey, the analysis of the survey, and then they would walk us through the data online, online Skyping or on a conference call. Anything above that is an additional cost. So right now we're just looking at a the package that would give us the information and the data, and then they would walk us through how to analyze the data. After that, we would decide if we needed someone to help the different teams decipher the data. But right now, this original proposal is just for that original, the gathering of the information.
And would you share this data with how would you share the data with the public, should say?
I think this is something just like what we talked about earlier today and we'll present at a later date. This is something that everybody needs to know. This is a board presentation. This might be presentations at the different PTA meetings, at the different schools that are being analyzed. I think it's really important that everybody knows where we are so that we know where we need to move. It's just being transparent and sharing what we're doing.
We talked about, Dean talked a little bit about the subgroups. Who decides that? Is that something that's decided by you guys who are giving the survey, or is that just something they do a certain list that, like you talked about schools, and you talked about grade levels, who determines the subgroups and how they're, what information they're getting back?
Any subgroup over 10 will be disaggregated.
Every single subgroup over 10.
That's right. So 6th grade girls, 6th grade boys, 6th grade girls with disabilities, 6th grade boys with disabilities, 6th grade girls with ESL, 6th grade boys with ESL. So it would be, and I don't think we have 10, so I don't think we would have that one. But it would actually, any subgroup that's above 10, they will disaggregate for you.
It's really eye-opening, and from a former building principal's perspective, when you see some of that information, it becomes real. You get reports all the time of meaningful behavior that's happening in your building. Kids will be referred, or you'll deal with those things. But when you see the data from a different perspective, not from a student reporting it, but from students who are anonymously reporting it, it really opens your eyes to help you move in a direction that you need to move.
I think it's very beneficial. We'll all learn something from here. So are you looking to?
I was hoping to have that quote before today, but they hadn't given us information. But I can't imagine it being much more than $2,000 more or $1,000 more. But I will get you that information as soon as it becomes available, hopefully tomorrow.
So you're looking for the board to approve doing the survey?
Yeah, we'd like to move forward with the survey, at least at the 6 to 12 level, and then maybe we'll come back in January and ask you if you wanted to do it at the 3 through 5 level. I would like to see a 3 through 12 if we could.
I would like to see the whole kid and caboodle also, because in terms of bullying, that starts down at that age. And I'd like to see how the schools are doing in terms of that, because we're really proactive, we're really pro, and then you slow down here at this level, it slows down in school. In school there used to be signs hanging about the bullying, there used to be classes. I don't know exactly what they're doing anymore, other than OBM.
Can I make a comment?
So, I think we get data on, and we should get data on everybody, see what's going on.
One of the things we talked about last night is we do have one of the elementary schools who's using an evidence-based practice currently. So that data would allow for us to compare the actual evidence-based practice that's being employed in that school versus what the other schools are doing. My kids are younger, but in our school, they did a week of anti-bullying, anti-drug week. There's no evidence that supports doing that. That they have a mustache that they wear on Monday that says, "I mustache you not to do drugs or bully." So part of what we're looking at is instead of just making up things and thinking that they work, one, is the stuff that we're doing working? And two, let's actually look off of this and employ the programs that research supports as working. And not just shoot out in the sky and try to grab things that we think might work.
Well, what you're just saying is a lesson, it's not a culture. And I was thought that we were slowly bringing the culture into Connetquot of anti-bullying. The culture is there at OBM. I'm not in the schools to see what the culture is. Apparently the school that you're talking about, if they only do it for a week, it doesn't work. It has to be part of the culture. So I'm not sure. I think this data is probably important, so we can bring it back or make.
I agree. I think we should, and actually what they do is they do students 3 through 12, but they do faculty and parents K through 12. So we would have the big picture of the whole district that we could start with. We may want to only focus on certain buildings and certain grade levels to begin with, so that we don't, spread too thin. But I think having that original picture and that original snapshot is helpful. Ted?
Make it 3 through 12 and do K through 12 parents.
Nick? Right?
Yep, I like it.
Thank you, my committee members. They work with me a lot. We're together a lot, and I appreciate you being here tonight. That's really helpful. Thank you.
Okay, we're moving on to Michelle Goodwin. Is Michelle Goodwin from here?
Hello. I'm here on behalf of the Connetquot Civic. I'd like to, at this time, thank the Board of Education, along with the Central Office of Administration, especially Ms. Adams, for their support. With that said, my focus as an educator, as it pertains to this club especially, is to empower the students that we govern. At this time, I'd like to introduce 2 founding members, Ms. Grace McGinnis and Mr. Tyler Vicente, along with 3 other students who have taken on leadership roles within this club, Ms. Ava Benzavegna, Mr. Ray Carter Jr., and Ms. Alan Askin.
So on behalf of the Connetquot Civic Club, I would like to thank the following people for their contribution to Freshman Awareness Weekend. First, Ms. Linda Adams, for her constant support of this program and for continuously honoring all Connetquot traditions. Because of you, Civic will be able to carry the spirit of Awareness Weekend throughout the school year. It is an honor to work with a woman of your caliber, and we look forward to supporting your vision for our district. So thank you. Second, the Connetquot Civic would like to thank Mr. Tom Croce for a generous donation which addressed the needs of 521 students, along with over 75 district employees. We'd also like to thank him for his service to our country.
We'd also like to recognize the board as a whole for approving our club, and we encourage you to take advantage of our open invitation to all of our events this year and in the future. We would specifically like to thank Mr. Nick Ferrioli for stopping by at Freshman Awareness, and Ms. Mylan Alvarez for being at every Civic Association event, including our Toys for Tots trip yesterday. You truly embody the spirit of Awareness Weekend and the Civic as a whole. You've become a voice for all of the constituents, and for that we are grateful.
Thank you.
We'd also like to acknowledge Mr. Middleman, Ms. Donnelly, and Ms. Manzi for stopping by and for always being supportive. As for Mr. Nucci, thanks for your office and for a speedy turnaround this year on such short notice. We'd like to thank the PTSA and SEPTA because they're integral parts of our success and our school district as a whole. 3 women specifically sacrificed the better part of their weekend to work side by side with our teachers, custodial staff, and students Ms. McNamee, Mrs. Kennedy, Ms. Panico, and Ms. O'Shea. We'd like to thank you all for your support.
There are two families who repeatedly donate their time, energy, and money to the Connetquot Civic. The Connetquot Civic would like to thank both the Carter and Benton Begna families, as well as district employees Principal Lisa Farrell, head custodian William Goodwin, and accountant Diane Egypt. Lastly, we would like to take this time to say that we look forward to working with Mr. Tom Silney in the future and thank him for partaking in our school's ideology. And finally, we would like to thank our teachers. Without them, this program, this club, everything would not be possible. Certificates of appreciation will be distributed. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I was gonna say, take a picture.
What's this?
I think Eileen Panico should be in this picture too,
I
because she
think
gave a
you're
lot
right.
of her
Not
time.
tonight, not tonight. No. No makeup, no nothing, not tonight. I'll be the silent in the background, I'm good, thank you.
Okay, guys ready? You don't have to stay.
Miss Michelle don't take pictures. I gave up on that one.
You don't even try.
Yeah, we don't even try.
She's not even on the video, so.
If you look in
And
the
the
yearbooks,
She's there in the Eagles.
if you look in the yearbooks, you try to look up Michelle Goodwin, it's a T-bird, not even one. Michelle Goodwin, I can't thank you enough. Your kids are amazing. You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Fabulous, fabulous.
I look forward to you tagging along for another civic job.
Yes, we have 2 events in the works, which we'll speak with Ms. Linda Adams about, and of course the Board of Education, and we wholeheartedly look forward to serving our community. Thank you for the opportunity to work with those kids.
Thank you.
So one of the major goals that the Board of Education charged me with when I was first hired was getting the community more involved. One of the things that I have done is put together community committees. You saw the work of 3 of those community committees tonight. One of the major things that we have done is ask for help from our businesses, our local businesses, to help us raise the level of kids, the ability for kids to go out into the workforce. One of the things that the Business Advisory Committee has done is actually created internships. So we now have students that are working in internships, from our general ed students to our special ed students, out in internships, working in real life situations to help make them better off when they leave our school. One of the major pushes that we're trying to do in all these committees is get kids ready to leave our school. And so one of our committee members, who's a founding member of our steering committee, is here tonight because he has an opportunity, an unprecedented opportunity for our kids. And I'm going to introduce Dan Hoy, who is a member of our steering committee, who would like to present an opportunity for our kids and for our neighboring districts to be part of. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you for coming.
My name is Dan Hoy. I just want to give a little introduction about myself. I'm a lifelong Connetquot community member. I grew up in this community. I went through elementary school, through high school, graduated in 1985 from Connetquot. Currently, I'm a parent of 2 Connetquot students. I've got one at Cherokee and one at RMS Middle School. I attended Suffolk Community College. Also went in the military to continue on for my BSN at Adelphi and got my master's degree at George Washington University. I'm currently a member of the steering committee with Ms. Linda Adams as well as some of the board members, also a community CPR instructor within the community, community youth sports coach, and the president of one of the youth sports leagues in the community. So I've got some close community ties here. I've been here, my parents are here. We've been in the community for well over 40 years. Currently, I work at Memorial Sloan Kettering in Manhattan at the Urgent Care Center. So the thing that I'm bringing to you tonight, we have discussed repeatedly at our committee, and an opportunity has presented itself that we think will be of value to the community as well as the students of the Connetquot School District. At some point in our life, each of us will encounter a nurse, whether it be as a patient, a loved one, a bystander. And that one encounter can mean the difference between suffering and peace, between chaos and order. Nurses in our community matter. Why nursing? I'd like to discuss the lifelong literacy goals put forth by the graduate committee. Under their number 2 goal, college and career readiness, we will ensure all students graduate Connetquot High School with the ability to succeed in post-secondary programs of study and the workforce, that they understand and demonstrate citizenship skills, and that they make meaningful contribution to the economy and democratic well-being of society. That was put together by one of our committees, that was our graduate committee. Career standards, also one of their literacy goals. A Connetquot graduate will be knowledgeable about the world of work. Students will have the ability to analyze and explore personal skills, abilities, interests, and desires for the future. Students will be aware of post-secondary, educational, and training opportunities. Students will understand the importance of networking. Students will be aware of current career trends and job outlooks. That's where nursing comes into play. Once again, RNs claim the top most trusted profession in the United States. RNs are the number 1 and top the list of professions with highest ethical standards in the Gallup 2015 survey. They have held this position for a straight 16 years and have been all but 1 year where they ranked number 2 since 1990. Current career trends in this career field. Headline, more than nursing job outlook sunny as experts project need for more than 1 million new nurses by 2022. They're predicting that there will be a need for 550,000 new positions as well as 450,000 retiring nurses. So what are we doing as a district to prepare these students for a career in nursing? Nursing is expected to grow nationwide 19 to 33%. It's a faster average than all other occupations combined. Average salaries in the tri-state area. The New York average salary, $74,000. Connecticut, $75,000. New Jersey, $75,500. And if somebody wants to go to sunny California, it's $94,000 with a 4-year degree. Now take in mind those are average salaries. Currently an RN graduating with a BSN is starting at a large teaching institution in New York City in the mid to upper $80,000 range. And they have their pickup jobs. Why should we show the American Nurse movie? The opportunity has come to us to show the American Nurse. I don't know if the committee is aware of that film. It was put out in 2012 and to great acclaim. It's become a project at this point. The American Nurse Project aims to elevate the voice of nurses in the country by capturing their personal stories through photography and film. In early 2012, photographer Carolyn Jones and her team began the journey across the United States, recording the unique experiences of nurses at work. Fueled by both critical success and the support of the nursing committee, the American Nurse Project has completed a full-length documentary. The film follows 5 nurses along with their patients through a nurse that takes care of patients in a maximum security prison that are in hospice, to Brian McMillan, who now takes care of wounded warriors, and a Jason Short, who now provides home care in Appalachia. What are the critics saying about this movie? Well, the New York Times said, it's elegantly clear-eyed, a worthwhile documentary. Tears are almost inevitable. The Village Voice reports, the diversity of her subjects is impressive, stirs new appreciation for the profession. And the Durham Herald Sun, beyond a must-see for those who have or will be nurses, The American Nurse is an important piece of work for all Americans to watch, as everyone comes in contact with a nurse at some point in their life. So as part of the committee, and as discussed in the committee, I reached out to the producer and director of this film, Ms. Carol Ann Jones. Ms. Carol Ann Jones has put together projects through Oxygen Media, PBS, and also worked with the Girl Scouts of the United States. She has founded the 100 People Foundation, where she travels throughout the world, telling stories, celebrating global our neighbors. We have the opportunity to show this at the high school, free of charge, because I've gone out and got corporate sponsorship and underwritten the movie. So one of our corporate sponsors' breakfast, Memorial Sloan Kettering, my employer, was at the breakfast. I went back to my employer and reached out to the CNO of nursing. The deputy CNO of nursing, Kevin Brown, who showed the movie twice at our institution, was more than willing to get involved and was more than willing to underwrite the cost of this movie to promote nursing. He not only was willing to reach into their checkbook, he's willing to come out for a panel discussion and sit on a panel post-movie to speak about nursing. So who's interested in doing this movie? We wanted to put it out to our nursing community. So I reached out to the local colleges. I've got a commitment from all 3 colleges of Suffolk Community College to not only put it out to their students, set up a table for information for our students, as well as their faculty attend to discuss their program. I've got a current commitment from New York Institute of Technology at Old Westbury, the same commitment. I've got a commitment from the Men in Nursing chapter of New York City to come out and set up a table. Memorial Sloan Kettering will also do the same and set up a thing and discuss their community resources for our community. So what do we get for this? It cost us $500. Their underwriter, complete cost. Where does the money go? It goes back to the distributor of the film. That's their cost. So we will underwrite 500 students free of charge. Anything above that, the movie company requires us to charge a $10 fee. What happens with that fee? Half of that fee goes back to the movie company. What does the movie company do with that fee? A portion of that fee goes back to scholarships. So they've established a scholarship called the American Nurse Scholarship Fund, with a portion of the proceeds from the movie going back to that. The fund is managed by the American Nurses Foundation, and that allows nurses to get scholarships throughout the country. Where does the other $5 go? So if we go above 100, and we need to charge $10 a piece, that $5 comes back to the district. My proposal is that we take that $5 and we establish a Connetquot nursing scholarship and put it back into our community for our kids that want to go into nursing. So currently I've secured, as I said, Deputy CNO Kevin Brown to come participate in a panel discussion. Myself will moderate it. I've also secured another master's prepared nurse that lives in the community, also a Memorial Sloan Kettering employee. And in discussions with a movie company, they will provide us either a Skype link to the producer and director and possibly some of the stars of the movies. And because the director lives in Manhattan, she may be amenable to actually attending the function. So that's why I'm here this evening.
So you mentioned in your presentation that there'd be a panel of people to speak to the students after the fact. My sister's an RN. She does critical care in Brooklyn Hospital. And as you know, she's told me stories that I can't even imagine how she does this job. Are you going to be brutally honest with these children that this is not an easy job?
Absolutely.
You know, so one of the things when she came out of school and started working for a while, she says, I thought it was great. I just wish somebody would have been a little bit more honest of the stress that goes on. You know, the alarms are going off and people are rushing codes and, she says it took her a while to adjust to all of that.
That's the object of the panel discussion, to open it up to the parents, the students, the family members, to ask questions. What is it really like? What really goes on? And that's why you have a panel discussion, where you just don't show them.
Where is all this take place?
We're gonna have it take place at the auditorium of high school.
Do you need the cafeteria as well to set up like those tables you were talking about? The groups coming?
We could do that, or we could just do it in the atrium just outside the auditorium. I think it would be big enough.
Ted, your thoughts?
When was this?
I think we had looked at January 28th.
And it's open 9 through 12.
We can open up to
Yeah, we don't open to the school.
It's
I don't know
actually-
if it's in middle school.
It's actually something that I'm working with the ISO chiefs. We like to get a lot of kids involved, so we're actually looking at opening it up like they opened up the drug symposium that Hopwood High School housed last year. I would really like to have our Connetquot kids, but also open it up to all the ISO schools to come and kind of have a consortium model where they can all come and watch the movie. I think it's positive and powerful to say Connetquot is leading the way with showing kids, ways to be for a career that's taking off and giving them.
I don't know if I would necessarily open up to the 8th graders, especially if you're going to have some sensitive information. I'd be a little bit worried about our 8th graders. 9th graders are obviously a little more mature. And if you are going to be, like I say, brutally honest on what it takes to become a nurse, I think an 8th grader may not have that maturity level to really digest what it is you're trying to put out there.
Have you seen that? You've seen the movie? Is the footage?
It's not brutal. I spoke to the producer today, and she recommends it for everybody.
So I'm sure she knows what you're talking about.
Again, I would like to protect an 8th grader. I would see how the 9 to 12 kids. And then later on, if we find that, we can even take a survey on them and say, hey, listen, do you think it would be appropriate for an 8th grader to watch? But I'm feeling a little protective over the 8th graders, just in case, some questions that will be asked might be above their maturity level. Nick?
Yeah, fabulous. Do we have any thoughts on, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but you spoke about needing 1 million, people.
A million nurses, 500,000 to.
In the field, do we have any intentions of, maybe 2 years down the road, planning on possibly a second showing of it? Because,
Exactly.
And then those 7th and 8th graders would be in high school.
Exactly.
You open up now to the high school kids, and then also the only other thought I had was, you mentioned 100 children would be able to attend that were backed by Sloan. Those on the school would be Connetquot kids before we open up. to
Yes,
everybody
we would
else.
give out free tickets to our kids first, absolutely.
I was going to say, how many seats are you guaranteeing for our children?
Well,
The 100
guaranteeing
seats would be
100,
our
everything
kids.
after that has a $10 cost.
Right.
So wait, I think you mentioned it was $500 for 500 kids.
Correct.
$500 for 100 kids.
$500 for 100 kids.
Oh,
It's
I
I
bet.
said
$5.
500 by accident, then he corrected himself. said
Oh, okay,
100%.
so it's 500 for, okay. I got you.
Yeah, but it is 100.
So then, say if 150 of our children want to go see it.
It'd be a lottery. First 100, we would produce a lottery.
Okay, I think that's something to come back and revisit. We do see, say, maybe close to 200 of our children that want to see it. I would definitely make the investment to do so.
Okay.
I'm just wondering about that afterward where you have these different tables. What about other health professions? Because if students might be interested in nursing, but there are other
I would think that this is a nursing focus tonight. I would think that another health professions night would be an appropriate night, absolutely.
And it's one of the things that we're looking at building academies, and I think one of the academies that's kind of on our wish list is a medical academy. So we look at all health professions at that point. We would build the competencies in kids to be able to enter into a 4-year program and have those kind of career pathways open. So I know that's one, it's on my wish list certainly, to build a medical academy within the next few years for our kids. So that would be, I worked with the HCOP program at the HSC over at Stony Brook University, and it was the less known medical professions, and it was just wonderful because we actually changed kids' lives because they didn't know OT or PT, was something that they might be interested in, respiratory therapy and all those different. So I think that would be a wonderful program to move into, but I think this is one of our first major pushes and building career ideas for kids.
I agree with you.
It's a silly question, right? Mom saying we could roll 100 kids, let's say we get 200 kids. Do we have, I think we spoke about how the process works as far as the cost factor. Do we have the option of waiving our $5 we're getting back and allowing 200 kids to come instead of 100 kids?
That's what I said, we can.
We should.
Exactly.
We might have that option if we get 200 kids, for that same, instead of saying, okay, we're gonna take the $5 and put it towards scholarship or whatever we talked about, we can have 200 kids instead of.
Throw it back into the kitty and let them.
Right, I'm just saying, I mean, it's not that, I think we don't want to start a scholarship, I like the idea, but the minimal amount of money you're talking about to start a scholarship, maybe you're gonna give one kid enough to buy a textbook where you could expose 100 more kids to the program. I think that's much more beneficial than buying, giving a $200 scholarship or a $100 scholarship where the kid's getting a textbook, you could expose 100 more kids and potentially might go into that career.
Yep. That's why I didn't want to close it down to 100 if there's an interest.
But realistically, with that, if we exhaust that option we can, you could open it up to 200.
Absolutely.
Yes.
One of the advantages of living in the city is that you have the opportunity to go to different schools. So there is schools that had a medical, the science school. So to bring it into our community, give a piece of every opportunity for our children, and this being one of them, I think would be great.
This is our first one, so it's exciting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Handouts here for the rest of the board.
Do you need consensus?
We do, we need consensus to move forward.
Lee?
I personally like the idea, and I respect the authority on your side, and I would like to go to all the kids that they said, see, it means we're 13, 8th grader, and if they believe it's like putting PG, a label, PG, GED, these are professionals, so I would not hurt kids by not letting them see it.
I would feel comfortable in
Here's the parental thing.
Well, it's we're going to start at the high school, so let's go with the high school.
I would say keep it at the high school. Yeah, keep it at the high school.
We can always show it in a couple of years, kids out of high school, we can always, revisit that. Let's say, like, son, look at careers, it's not, medical is a special.
Exactly. And going back, to my original question is, I expect whoever's on the panel to be really honest with these children, because you don't want to go through the 4 years, go through the test and then sit in an actual hospital and find out like, oh my God, didn't somebody really, I don't expect you were told, but now you're actually seeing it, so it's a reality check for some people.
If you have the opportunity, take 15 minutes, watch the trailer. It brings it home and focuses you in on what they're doing. And that's kind of the way the movie runs. Take 15 minutes. You can just go to AmericanNurse.com. It'll pull up the trailer and you can see the 15 minutes worth of the trailer.
Okay, so it's a yes from Lee, from Ted, from Craig, from Nick. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, we're moving over to personnel matters. Oh, sorry, I jumped. Okay, policy. Approval of the first reading. Motion. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, go to review.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, is anything under abolishment? Yes, there is.
Yes.
This is under abolishment. Motion? Second?
Second.
Okay. All right, we'll move. Sorry, in favor? Okay, we're moving over to public participation. Step up to the podium, address the board president only. You may address one or more topics in the time allotted. Individual employees, parents, or children should not be identified by name, title, position, grade, or building. For safety, please exit from the podium after your time has concluded near the front of the podium and circle around to the left or to the right to return to your seat. Going once, going twice. This is great. Okay, moving on. We spoke.
Our community spoke.
We did a lot of
Did a
information
great
today.
job.
Okay, moving over to personnel matters, Schedule 1. Motion?
Motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
I'll second it.
I second.
Oh, okay, we'll do it. Okay, appointments, 10-year salary, motion? I motion?
Second.
Okay. Do you have anything in item 3? No, we don't have anything in item 3, okay.
But I'm gonna just stop for a second, because I'm gonna ask Mr. Middleman to introduce someone for special who's in the audience.
Robert Tessio, could you please stand up? Robert is our new director of mathematics, and we're very excited to have him on board. He comes to us from the, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. Locust Valley. I don't like to talk about competition, so he's coming to us from Locust Valley, and we're very excited to have him start with us relatively soon. So congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'm very
Thank
excited.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you, welcome aboard. Okay, we're moving over to financial matters. Treasurer's report, October 2015. Any questions? Okay, motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it, all in favor? All right, moving down to appropriation status, July 1st, July 1st, 2015, through October 31st, 2015. Motion? A motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Revenue status, July 1st, 2015, through October 31st, 2015. Motion?
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving over to overtime report, July 1st, 2015 through October 22nd, 2015.
Motion.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're moving over to the consent agenda. We're going to take a motion and then we're going to have a discussion. All motion, who takes a second? Okay, we have items 1 through 10. Okay, I believe Nick seconded the motion. Okay, anybody have any questions or concerns? All right, I have a concern because I'm a mom. The trip to Washington?
So we made a decision, the board made a decision that, the superintendent made a decision based upon board policy regarding trips for the months of November and December. We are approving all the trips as we go forward, and we're going to be reevaluating. You can see the language that's listed below. And basically that they'll be reevaluated in accordance to the policy regulation 4531R.
So this trip is for May?
Yes. That information is shared with all the constituents, so the building principals, the staff that's running the trip, transportation department as well.
Parents, understand that these trips can be canceled.
I will make sure that.
Can you put your mic on, Lee?
Yes, that the parents will be notified that the trip will be canceled, so I'll make sure that the schools are doing that as well.
Well, there was a question with that trip. If, let's say you pay the money, it's $522, and April comes and the school decides to cancel the trip,
As of right now,
do the
yeah.
families get their money back?
So as of right now, any of the trips that we have canceled or postponed, all the money has been refunded to the parents at no cost. The district has not been penalized, nor have the students been penalized. So as we go forward, that same practice will be in place, and we'll make sure that the district or the parents lose money.
I don't know if this is a fact, but I believe the parents were told they won't get their money back.
For this trip?
For the Washington trip.
Okay.
Because you gotta pay, there's a travel agent. So you pay the travel agent, and that was a big to-do. When I was there at the meeting, they said they were gonna get back to the parents.
You can't take insurance if they're going through a travel
You
agent?
can take insurance. That's an additional cost. Some people didn't wanna get the insurance.
So then you're at your own risk, basically.
No.
All right, so I'll find out some more information. We can hold off on the vote if you choose to, and then once I have the information, we can move forward.
Does anyone else think that's a lot of money
How much is it?
for a field trip?
I was actually looking at the chaperone account. How much is it?
I think I can take my family of 6 to
It
DC.
costs $170 to
weekend.
go to the city for a day.
I think they're going 2 nights.
That's not
If they're going 2 nights, I don't think that's expensive at all. Yeah, that's a good price. I went to Washington, a couple of the museums was pretty pricey. Yeah. It's a great trip. Yeah. Yeah, food, of course.
I don't think it's all the food. I don't think it's all the food. And a chaperone?
Are we gonna approve this trip?
Or we're moving it from the agenda?
Are we approving this trip or are we removing it? I don't think the cost is bad on it, my personal opinion. Are we approving this or are we holding this?
I'm saying yes.
Okay, Nick?
I thought we were figuring out whether they give their money back.
Well, that's on them. After that,
Are we-
approve the trip, it's on them to figure out about the money.
We turn around and approve it, and then we turn around and cancel it.
We don't cancel it, they cancel it.
We cancel it because of the,
No, they,
because of the
the
problem.
parents
We don't
cancel
cancel
it.
it.
If there's
She
an
has to
alerted
cancel it
status,
because of the alerted
it's our,
status.
it's the Board of
It's a board
Education's policy.
for her to cancel it.
Correct.
Then they're gonna come looking at us and going, well, you approved it without investigating the whole situation.
So then why don't we educate the parents and say, listen, if you want to pay the insurance of
Then
X
you gotta
amount of
hold it.
dollars to secure that
Then
you.
we should hold it and find out what the insurance is, and people can either pay $522 or they can pay $550 with insurance.
Okay.
To get that information to me.
Okay, so then you
we're
want to
gonna-
pull this?
Dean, status, per se.
Yes, what's going on?
Dean said we can approve it pending outcome.
I would pull it, can we wait until January to,
When do they have to sign the contracts? Bill, do we know that, the deadline where they need to sign the contracts?
We need to make parents aware of whether they're gonna get their full money back or they're not gonna get back, you know, maybe they'll get back hotels, they're not gonna get buses or whatever, or this fee the travel agent charges $60, which,
If we,
you know, maybe.
if that's what you're waiting for, if we approve the trip, that's fine. We can approve it, we just gotta make sure the person that's running the trip has to notify the parents and let them know.
well, that's what I say, you know.
Yeah, I don't.
And then it's the parents' decision.
Right.
When they have that survive.
So
We would
Dean,
need to let them know if a deposit would be forfeited, if, you know, I wouldn't think it would be the whole thing, but I would think that there might be a deposit that might be forfeited. I know,
There's a December 16th date that's coming up, Brian.
okay, so is there a payment schedule for this? Or is it half and half?
It is,
I think there is a schedule.
Is it half and half or third and third? Third? Do you know how the payments are being split?
If you want the insurance though, you gotta pay,
no.
you gotta pay up front.
Did they offer insurance? Additional to the 522?
Yes.
How much
Yeah,
is
they
the
offer
insurance?
I wanna say it was something
Yeah,
like
it's not
$50.
So Dean, if we approve this trip, can you put in the stipulation that the parents are notified of the opportunity whether to use the insurance or not?
and how much of
We're
the
already
deposit
notified.
would be
They're already
forfeited?
notified. Okay,
There was a
so,
question whether if the school cancels the trip, will we get our money back? If you don't get the insurance. They already know they can get insurance.
oh, okay, oh, that's right, okay, sorry.
So that was the question. And the answer that night was no, we don't think you will.
So did we get the money, did they get
4
the money
monthly
back?
payments of
I would
$118.
bet not, but I would bet it would be a deposit that we forfeit, not the whole fee. If I look at what, there are multiple districts around here have canceled trips that were scheduled for the spring to France or Spain or, you know, off the continent. And a lot of those folks lost their deposits. So I think we do need to let the parents know that if the trip were need to be canceled because of policy with the alert status, how much of the deposit would be forfeit. I think that's something that's very essential, and I think we need to have parents sign off on that they're aware that if they don't take the insurance and the district is, you know, by virtue of the policy, is forced to cancel the trip due to the alert status that's going on in the country, that this is the amount of money that you will forfeit. I think that's important that parents sign that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's
It has to be
With
communicated.
the knowledge.
Payment schedule is in there. It's $50 down, $118 a month for 4 months after that.
Oh, okay, so you can be in it almost the full payment before the trip can actually be canceled.
Yeah, we would need to know what would be forfeit. I can't imagine it would be the whole thing. It was probably gonna be some kind of a deposit.
Does anybody know what the insurance is?
It's $50.
Yeah, but I thought it says something else.
I think it is though, it wasn't a lot.
anybody know how many kids are going on the trip?
40.
40.
40 kids?
It's the National Junior Honor Society.
40 kids.
I would definitely educate the parents on the risk of taking this trip and what the potential loss could be if it's.
Yeah, I think we need to do that. That's important.
So are we holding this? I mean, when is the deadline to reserve the teams?
I don't have a deadline.
What's December 16th?
So can we hold
It
this?
just says the fee increases in December 16th.
So after December 16th, they have to pay.
Oh, okay, so basically you want your parents to start taking advantage of the early bird special?
I would assume so.
So they can't do that unless it's board approved?
Correct.
Correct.
So then we're back to square one.
Let's just make sure we don't cancel the trip.
Make sure
Yeah, make
the
sure.
world is safe.
I don't think we have change board
You
policy.
know,
I would be more than happy to make sure that happens.
Change board policy.
You know, a lot of people,
Change
right,
board
with this field trip thing, a lot of people thought that the board made the decision to cancel field trips to the city.
I supported it, I didn't think it was a bad
But we
idea, but we
didn't-
didn't make the decision.
The board did not make that decision.
No, we didn't make that
Policy
decision.
says I get to make that decision. Or I'm forced to make decisions that I get to.
Okay, so are we going to keep it and vote yes, or are we going to pull it? I don't think we have a choice. We gotta vote yes.
If we just make sure that we are
I shouldn't have
informing
brought up that.
Yes, I believe
Need to
Dean
make sure.
is well aware of our
whoever the
concerns.
person is, that they're informing the parents of.
Yes, I think that absolutely, well,
By the
Dean is well of our
operation, so that this
concerns.
is their
By the end of the week.
positive.
Right.
And maybe they should also be aware of, I'm not exactly sure, what is the board policy as far
Maybe
as the
attach it.
elevated threat level?
Attach it to the,
As in, when it goes up to what status, they have to cancel.
There's actually, because they no longer use those status levels,
Right.
it's an elevated threat. So we have to, we'll have to look at that
Elevated
policy.
threat to the country, elevated threat to Washington DC, and elevated threat to New York City, like.
Homeland Security.
Yeah, but haven't they raised the threat level in New York City alone when they felt that there were threats in New York City and not other places?
They do, but I'm gonna call on
It's
Don.
not
Don, what,
blanket.
how do they make it, how do they let us know?
It's changing again next week.
There we
Probably
go.
heard that.
Yeah, it's changing next
They're
week.
changing it.
Changes to what?
The alert status system, not the level, so to speak, but they're changing the whole process as to how communities will be notified by the alert statuses. That's all changing. So what you've got currently, it used to be in colors, and then it went from incident analysis, and then now it's going to a three-tier stage. So by next week, it'll be different than what you have now.
So
But is
then
it
do you
separate
change?
based on cities, that do they, you know, like if they feel there's a threat to Washington DC?
There's two things, Homeland Security, like 2 days after the State Department issued a travel alert for any specific areas, that was everywhere. And
Oh,
then
Washington's always a threat, New York and Washington, California.
They don't really do that anymore.
It's
So
tourism.
the State Department does one, Homeland Security, and then the city will follow suit.
No, I understand that. But I'm saying, whenever there is
So what is our policy
reason to be
on
concerned.
Homeland Security?
We follow, it was an elevated alert status, which no longer exists. So what has to happen is we need to look at the policy once the new regulation comes out from the government and change policy. Yep. That will be on the next board agenda.
Just change policy, then.
There you go.
And there's no problem.
Then there's no
Nobody's
issues.
losing any money?
Okay, so are we going to be all in favor of items 1 through 10, including this trip? Yes.
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 All right. All right, we're moving over to reports for Board of Education. Committee, sorry.
I don't have a report, but I would be happy to be the alternate on the task force. Who is on the task force?
I am.
So, and Nick.
I am, but I stayed early until.
So if you can't go, I'll go. So I'll be the alternate.
So when we did that, Andrea, originally, was it a board agenda, was it consensus? I don't know if we voted on it,
That
but we
was on the
did
schedule on the reorganization.
schedule a reorg, so we would need to.
Community,
Committees, membership.
right, so you'd have to actually put the sign and seal the resolution
Okay,
to have the resolution.
okay. On the next board
On the
agenda.
next board meeting.
Okay.
Anybody else has anything to report?
RMS had a great concert, the TAWs, for 7th and 8th graders. The club's getting bigger and bigger, and actually using their great performance. So kudos to the Almas concert last week.
Thank you. I didn't know if I was supposed to speak on item 4, or we can speak now, as far as things that we attended.
Sure.
Had the opportunity to attend freshman awareness both days. I thought it was spectacular. I thought the kids were amazing. Eileen Panico was a trooper, working hours on her feet and just making sure that all the kids had water. You and Lisa Kennedy did an awesome job making sure those kids were happy.
It was my pleasure. Those kids are great. They're all a good bunch of kids.
I agree. So I had the opportunity to be in a group of about 15, 16 kids. And they were, I felt the little kid being in the room with them. They were just, a little shy at first. And then they were just adorable.
By the end of the night, yeah, they were great.
They were great. I just had a lot of fun. And it was good to hear their thoughts about some of the speakers that night. Did you have the opportunity to see the guy with the disability?
Yes. Yeah, we actually stayed for all the presentations, and we left when the kids were doing their personal things, so that there was no parents and we didn't hear any of that. But yeah, we saw the speakers. They had some great speakers.
Yeah.
And Michelle Goodwin does a great job. She really does.
It's
It's amazing.
It was a good night. I can honestly say, 17 years of teaching being in schools, I was never in school till midnight until that night. It was a lot of fun.
It was fantastic.
Kids had a good time. They enjoyed it. It's good to see them, interact with each other, and the speakers were awesome.
And even when you saw a kid that was like kind of standing off by himself, other kids went over to them. Like it was heartwarming.
Exactly.
Really nice, yeah.
I agree. And that's the intention of what Freshman Awareness is all about. So I thought it was great.
I work Fridays and Saturdays, Michelle, otherwise I would be there.
I know you would. Just as an open invitation, anybody wants to come through and see what the kids put on, we'd love for you to come down.
Those are the 2 days I want. Next year it's going to change, be
Next
Friday
year.
and Sunday.
Michelle, they won't come.
I also had the opportunity to attend the first Toys for Tots drive that the Civic Association had put together. And what was there, about 17 kids there? 18 kids?
We had 18 students who came from the building, alumni, teachers who met us there who weren't just listed as chaperones, it was a good time.
It was great. Those kids were so fun to, they were so excited, enthusiastic, and it was just worried about picking the perfect gift for each of the children that it was intended for. And it was like stress. They were happy but stressed at the same time.
They were very concerned about the age. They were like, am I picking out the right toy? Which was very cute. They all brought their own money.
Yes.
They really worked hard for that. They gave up their free time, and my colleagues, of course, came down. They were setting an example as well. Miss Olis came through. We actually saw Miss Abendanza there. I don't know if she mentioned that to all of you here over at Toys R Us.
No, she didn't.
So it was, it was a good
I'll
time.
mention it when I get home.
She was spending your money.
Found out I got my retro.
It's gone.
Sam took most of it.
Thank you again, Michelle. What a great 2 events.
No, honestly, thank you for doing it. Mrs. Adams, wholeheartedly, thank you for finding the money to support Awareness Weekend. Mrs. Donnelly's office, thank you for dealing with us last minute. I really do appreciate that.
That was amazing what you did that weekend, just incredible.
Well,
phenomenal.
You're dynamite.
Thank you for coming, and the kids especially. These guys worked till 8:30 at night, almost that whole last week in the classroom. The custodial staff was supported, clerical was on board. We really do appreciate everything you do. And
You did a great job. You did.
Thank you. And I really have to thank the PTA because Ms. Panico, Mrs. Kennedy, and Mrs. McNamee stayed with me. Mrs. Panico and Mrs. Kennedy on Friday evening, and then they all came back the following morning. And that saves the district a tremendous amount of money just in water. I know that sounds ridiculous, but we have to
Those kids
serve
drink
our
a lot
students.
of
We have to
water.
meet certain needs. And they work, I know what you're saying, water, they work hard.
Oh, yes, they did.
And Mrs. Adams too. When I brought up Toys for Tots last week, and I asked if I could go, it was something the kids wanted to do. She put it in motion with Mr. Costa last minute, Mr. Middleman's office as well. Everybody got everything going, and I really do appreciate that. Mrs. Manzi came through, in terms of SEPTA, you're very supportive, thank you for coming by. And Mr. Annucci, I can't thank you enough. I know you work very hard at your office, Mrs. Moraldo, with Carol Murphy. So you would be surprised the manpower that goes behind that. Board of Ed, thank you for approving it, honestly. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. I also had the opportunity, and maybe Augie, you can speak to a little bit about the robotics that happened on Saturday, like a Lego League.
Well, the Connetquot robotics team had a fundraiser, an FLL tournament. There were 72 teams from Long Island that attended it. We had to have 2 sessions in the morning and in the afternoon. And the only time I stepped out of the cafeteria was to hear my daughter sing the national anthem.
It was beautiful, beautiful.
Other than that, I just went in the cafeteria. I don't know who won or anything like that, but it was a great event. We raised $2,300 for the group.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. I have to say, you and your wife, and of course the other volunteers, working your tails off. And I had the opportunity to speak to you at 5 or 10 minutes. You know, I gotta go back to the kitchen. You know, so I mean.
I filled 2 dumpsters with garbage.
Oh wow.
We'll send you that bill too.
I used to work for sanitation.
So thank you for supporting that and being a part of it. And again, your daughter sang beautifully. I was amazed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Okay, anybody else have anything to say? Okay, we're moving over to administrators. Monica, Bob, Dean, Sharon.
I was told I'd talk too much, so.
Oh, you didn't hear that from me.
You gotta go, yeah.
Discuss it a few things real quickly.
Sure.
That's all right. Over the Thanksgiving weekend, SEPTA had a fundraiser, a showing of The Good Dinosaur, and the theater was packed. The kids had a great time, and we raised a lot of money for SEPTA. So we really appreciated everyone who came out to support that. It was a tearjerker. My 4-year-old looked at me like, "You're really gonna make me cry?" It was a lot of fun. We also, just a few other things to touch upon tonight. Some of our SEPTA members are not here because they're at the Suffolk County Diploma Options Forum. They went to go take, at the Nassau County one. We're looking to bring it to Suffolk, so they're scoping it out tonight, listening to the panel in the hopes of inviting them to Suffolk County so we could recreate the evening for our community. We are also, just in terms of our annual review process in special education, we're moving forward with creating our committees and assembling a letter that we'll send out to parents of students with IEPs, just letting them know about the process for this year and how we're moving forward. And then in the area of PPS, we do have a Toys for Tots fundraiser as well, where we will be distributing toys to parents and families on December 19th. Recently, we've had a health insurance evening where community members were invited to come in and hear about different health options for parents within the community. And I feel like there's one other. Flu shots. Flu shots were made available to all staff within the district, and it was for a bunch of different dates depending on the building, and that ended on December 4th. It was well received, and we think it's a positive experience.
And I think you have the ongoing Modell's fundraiser, right?
Thank you. We have a Modell's fundraiser as well, where we give back to SEPTA.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
I'm just going to follow it up a little bit. I don't know if you know that the Marine Corps used to do the Toys for Tots and they no longer are. So there are communities that are trying to pick up the ball, really, that the Marine Corps is no longer supporting that initiative. In fact, what we're doing with the PPS department is kind of being head up by Gail Santo. It was brought to us by the Suffolk County Police Department. Our school resource officer, John Skanga, who comes and works with our kids at the high school, actually approached us to say, we would like to reach out to all of the kids who are homeless in our community, who are coming back to Connetquot High School but have lost their homes. And so, of course, we said, yes, we really need to help all of our families feel that some kind of a joy for this season. So Ms. Santo's office has spearheaded that with Officer Skanga and the SRO department at Suffolk County PD. And so it's really exciting that we can really help our community during those times. So we have to thank her for that.
Ms. Santo was also able to secure a significant amount of turkeys to give the families as well.
Yes.
She's arranging for age-appropriate toys to be wrapped for parents to be able to come select and bring them home and decide how they're given to the children. So whether it's a special gift given by a family member or maybe someone else, they've really taken the time and attention to support each family in the way that they need it.
Oh, that's great, thank you, love hearing stuff like
There
that.
might be other things in district. I know Cherokee is also doing a Toys for Tots thing, where they have the kids that rock, paper, scissors on contest night. And then the toy will participate, and then the kid that brings a toy gets, I think, one entry into it. Something like that, so it's, talk about that, so there's probably other things going on.
There's a lot of different things going on,
That's
yeah.
also great for Toys for Tots.
Yeah, I
Excellent.
think for our society at the high school, they're doing Toys for Tots.
A lot of altruism in the district. There really is a lot of community outreach. It's really wonderful.
Yeah, kids are excited.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, moving on to you, Linda, Superintendent of Schools.
Oh, you skipped me. Obviously, I'm very proud of the work these committees have done. It's really nice to hear the community voice. We're trying to build that partnership between our businesses, our families, our community, and our schools, make sure that we have the best situation for all of our kids as they move through the system. So it's really exciting. A lot of people spend a lot of Monday nights with me. I'm really exciting to be with on Monday nights. But I thank you all for being part of that. I actually was honored by being asked to be part of Larachi, which is actually a Long Island gathering of superintendents and college presidents. And it's really kind of exciting because some of the work I'm doing on the doctoral level has to do with quantitative studies, and they've asked me to be part of the quantitative committee to try to figure out what are the magic course permutation that will actually set our students up for success in college and career moving forward. So we'll be able to kind of be on the cutting edge on in our high school as we look at all the different data sets that we can gather from our Eastern Suffolk and Western Suffolk BOCES Regional Information Center. So I'll be working very closely with BOCES to look at the data that's coming out of all of the different high schools, with always a special eye on what's happening with our Connetquot students. So a lot of the different initiatives that the board just approved tonight will help us look at both the hard skills and the soft skills that we need to infuse into our children so that they can be successful. So I'll be using some of that information to help build this definition of exactly what it takes to be college or career ready, because that was really never clearly defined as to what that looks like to make sure that kids are successful. And so we'll be doing that work with Larachi. I actually reached out to multiple different college presidents while I was there to see if they might be interested in being part of our American Nurses Night. So I did make a connection with Malloy that has a very large nursing program, and actually has a nursing program right in Farmingdale Airport, which is our kids are close enough to do that kind of program, as well as Farmingdale College. I reached out to them as well. So now that we have the definite night, we'll reach out to all of the community colleges and Stony Brook University, as well as St. John's and St. Joseph's, and see if we can really get a good representation and start to build those partnerships to make it better for our kids to go into those institutions. So really exciting things happening here.
Thank you, Linda. Does anybody on this panel have anything else to add? Okay, we're moving on to public participation. Same rules apply. Does anybody have anything else to say? Eileen, come on, Eileen.
No, not today.
Oh, do you have something to say?
Yeah, I gave you the American Nurse Program. I come in contact with a nurse every night. My wife.
Keep it PG, Augie, please.
Well, he said you might come in contact. I come in contact every night. But nursing is also, they save people's lives. Look what happened in Sachem, where that nurse saved 2 young people's lives. I'm going to suggest you, why don't you bring down some people that are nurses, like someone like my wife. My wife used to work in the burn unit at New York Hospital, and those are horror stories that you may want to see in that film. She used to come home crying. She had a kid that was burnt by the 3rd rail in the subways, and he was brain dead, and he was burnt from the waist up. These are stories that, you know, you want these kids to hear to make sure that that's what they want to go in, but
I agree 100%.
I appreciate the fact that you're going to do this, and I think it's good for our district.
So I'm gonna sign her up for the panel.
You can sit on the
I'm
panel.
gonna say that you told me I could.
Oh, come on, Linda.
You can sit on the panel.
I could, you know, you could
Yeah,
ask her.
definitely.
Oh, she'd be an asset.
Good to have
Yeah.
a community member. We should,
Your wife would definitely be an asset to the panel.
I think we can have some of our school nurses being up there to
Well,
talk
she's a
about
school
what that
nurse
feels
now,
like.
but she worked also in, you know, in New York Hospital. You know, and another time too, we went out to dinner one night, she saved an elderly woman's life by doing the Heimlich maneuver.
Oh, wow.
So it's a really, it's a profession that doesn't get the credit that it should get.
I'm texting her right now and saying, Augie just said you could come.
I'll be sleeping on the couch tonight.
Before Thanksgiving, we had a kid in Rockford that passed out in the playground and nurse saved. Nurse and police officer. They saved the kid's life the day before Thanksgiving.
Very important.
I have a tremendous amount of respect for nurses. I don't know how they do that job because a kid gets a boo-boo and I'm gonna cry and fall to the floor, so it's amazing.
But they're horrible patients.
Yeah, well, I can believe that.
That's what your wife says about you, Augie. Horrible patient. Wonderful husband, horrible patient.
No, nurses are horrible patients, believe me, Nick.
Oh, nurses are horrible.
She burnt her arm that she's all swollen, you know, blistered out, she wouldn't go to the doctor. You know, I'll take care of it myself.
Yeah, but Augie, that's a woman thing too, Augie. You know how women are. They'll, you know, they'll keep chucking.
If I knew how women are, it would be a lot easier.
That's how we make it.
I'd like to handle for you.
Now, I have a nice story about that. It was sad, but a very close friend of mine, her daughter became a nurse. She wasn't finished nursing school. And she comes home one day and her father's laying in the yard. She quickly jumped to the CPR, whatever else she did, until they finally got someone there. And if it wasn't for his own daughter doing CPR, he would have been dead man. So nursing starts.
I have to say, if it wasn't for the nurses right now, I wouldn't be sitting here tonight. I'd be at my husband's funeral. So I am so grateful for what nurses do for people.
One more note, Sunday at Applebee's from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Mount Cockman Civic Association is having breakfast with Santa Claus for our annual fundraiser for a scholarship for a Connetquot graduate. It's $10 at the door, all are welcome if you'd like to attend.
This is the one on Dutch, right?
Yeah, the one on Bets.
We have that in our personal backpack, right, Augie?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Augie.
you. You want to come to the podium?
That's right, it's quick. I understood there was supposed to be a math program pending approval. A new math
I
program.
don't know if you have the opportunity.
A math chair?
Math director.
He's right behind you, I believe.
Oh, could I-
Nice to meet you.
What is your name? I'm sorry?
I met with,
Rob Taseo.
Rob Taseo?
Yes.
well, I met with Mr., the principal of the high school, and there was supposed to be a 3 math program pending.
Oh,
For-
Mr. Middleman can answer that
Oh,
question.
okay.
I don't know what the question is.
They're adding on, actually, Linda, you knew about it, the 3 math things that they're adding on for the children that have, you know, struggle with math, so they're adding 3 courses on.
In the course approval
We're still
process.
going through the course approval guidance.
Okay.
So we,
That was supposed to be approved tonight.
we're still working on those courses. So
Okay. And what's depending on that? Just working on that?
we're still
or-
working on language and within the course guide.
Do you anticipate that for the January meeting?
We anticipate the course is running. There's no additional staff that's required,
Oh,
so
okay.
it's just a language piece.
Okay, great.
Matthew will now jump in on this.
He will jump in.
As soon as he gets here.
He's already in.
Tomorrow.
January 11th.
Yeah.
He's already looked at those courses with me.
I was wondering if those are the questions that she was referring to.
Exactly those courses are referring to.
Inherited form.
Uh-oh. Need to run when we race. Don't let me go to you.
Does anybody else have any concerns or questions?
More involved, and I can help out with the nursing committee, but I do work labor and delivery, so I don't know what I could really say.
Oh, yes, you can say a lot.
Life is the world.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can you see Ms. Adams afterwards and give her your name and number? Thank you so much, thank you.
We also have a lot of graduates the past 5, 6, 7 years that are all in nursing field.
So can you get in contact with him? Because that would be definitely, and it'd be great to see a Connetquot graduate that went through the, oh, that would be awesome. Yeah, that would be great. Thank you so much.
Fantastic.
Anybody else have any questions or concerns? I see a little hand back there. Come up to the podium. I love when our young students come up and speak.
Question, why you guys decided to answer the phone message? Was it like board?
What?
Is it like
Miss Linda Adams can actually answer that question for you.
It's actually a board policy that says that we look at the alert status, if there's an elevated alert status, in order to make sure that our kids are going to be safe, that there's an elevated alert status, that we do cancel field trips that would put our kids potentially in danger.
And if we did that on a terrace, wouldn't that be giving into what they wanted us to do with the fear?
I don't think it's fear more than it is just saying that sending 4 or 5 busloads of kids into the city, whether or not there was something that went on, it's a very different feel than being in the city right now than it was being in the city last year. You know, there's Hercules teams that are in the city right now, so if anything happened, they could close down city blocks at a moment's notice. They can evacuate things at a moment's notice. So just the logistics of moving 300 kids in the city with buses made it feel like it would be better off doing something in the spring rather than right now.
It is much different than your family going in, you know, with 4 or 5 people where you have control of that small group, trying logistics of moving a big group. And I also had we have a trip that's scheduled to go to New Jersey. We have to go through Manhattan, the building that I work in, and we've been discussing it. We also have trips that are scheduled to go there, and that's the concern. And yes, a lot of people have mentioned what you said about giving into them. And I don't think anybody here as a board feels that as a family or as, you know, whatever parents want to go and take their kids, and I plan on taking my kids in to see the tree, but that's a small group. When you start talking about the logistics of a large group and protecting them and having only 1 teacher for every 20 or 25 kids, that's a much different story, and it's a much bigger concern, and that's really where our concerns come from.
And I did take my family in Friday after Thanksgiving because I don't want to give into the fear.
And piggyback on that, what you heard on the news in Channel 12 or wherever it was broadcasting was singled out for Connetquot. So it looked like we were the only ones, but we were not.
No, 3 other districts did it.
They, you know, Deer Park, many of the schools do the same thing, but they were not highlighted in the news. So, you know, it was not just Connetquot, it was done by many school districts.
That's right.
I can tell you, I worked and lived in a city for most of my life, so I worked on the day of 9/11. It was not fun getting home. So myself, being 7 months pregnant, finding my way to get home and walking over the 59th Street Bridge, I worked in Midtown, I wouldn't want that to be imposed on, say, 300 or 400 students. It was stressful for one individual to come out into the, you know, getting out of the city. So I applaud Ms. Adams for making that decision. It's not to say that we don't ask parents to take your child to go see the city. We're not saying be afraid, but it's better in smaller units to transition through the city than it is to take the responsibility of all these children. I think the right decision was made.
Me too, here.
I think thank you for coming and speaking up.
And I thank you for speaking. And we encourage all your students to come up
just
and
because
speak.
you feel comfortable, or you may feel comfortable, your parents may feel comfortable, doesn't mean everybody does. You know, we had that discussion, I know I had discussion with teachers in my building that they may feel comfortable taking their family in, but feeling uncomfortable going in and now having to be responsible for 20 or 25 kids is a different perspective. So we kind of have to look at all those things when we make these decisions. It's not really just about giving into the fears of, you know, the terrorists and things like that. That's really not where our concern comes from. Our concern comes from all those other things. You know, I'm sorry you missed your trip. Hopefully they can reschedule it.
Just no Rockettes.
Yeah, I continue to go back to the city. I'm not afraid. I saw enough that day to scar me a little bit for life, but I still go back. My children, being in the city and seeing the museums and seeing the shows, it's a big part of our lives. So we always encourage people to go to the city and take advantage of those opportunities. But thank you for coming. Thank you. Okay, we're going to take a 5-minute recess, but we are going to move into exec session. Motion of the Board of Education to move an executive session in accordance with the motion. All in favor? 5 minutes.